Today's episode of the Energy Newsbeat podcast is brought to you by Enverus. The energy industry faces massive challenges every day, and the events over the last 2 years have caused huge disruptions like never before. Companies in the energy industry need actionable intelligence and a single source of truth that brings all the data together. Enverus is the energy specialized technology partner that provides intelligent connections for a global energy ecosystem. Only Enverus has the analytics, people, experience, and industry scope to connect the right data and information in the right way to discover missed opportunities and deliver fast outcomes. Find out more at Enverus.com. That's Enverus.com.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'll tell you what, today is one of my favorite days again. I'm addicted to being a podcast host. My name's Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group, and I get to talk to one of my favorite authoresses. I think that's the right word. Authoresses.
I don't care. You can call me an author. I'm not sensitive about it.
Irina Slav, welcome and thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Stu. Pleasure as always.
Oh, I'll tell you, I'm having so much fun with you and Armando and David Blackman on your international energy transition. How cool is that? I mean, I don't know how you guys found each other, but you got a nice chemistry going on.
Thank you. It has really been fun, and I hope it's been informative. We're getting some really great feedback from, from viewers. We got together thanks to Armando. By the way, he reached out to me sometime, I can't remember where it was, and he suggested that we do this podcast, and he also invited David. Yep. He had this brilliant idea, and it worked even better than I expected, to be honest.
Oh, and when he is in Brazil, and he says, good morning to David, and he goes, good afternoon to you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool because you're off in Bulgaria, and it's 5:30 in the morning here in Dallas time. And what time is it there for you?
It's 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, see, I'm up at 4, so this is no big deal for me. But we got so much fun things to talk about. Now, this morning I was looking at Twitter, and I was up just kind of, by the way, I hate social media, but because I'm addicted to news, I get my news.
So do I, but we have to use them for what they're worth.
And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I loved your post on Russia. You had Metallica out there just jamming away, and I really, that was a lot of people back. Was it 81? I can't remember.
91. It was 1991.
And I mean, how many people were there when they were doing that concert? And the Russian people loved Metallica, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Now, why was that song stuck in your head?
It has nothing directly to do with Russia, really. But, well, in a way. I think it's because of that line, exit light and tonight. Yeah. Because the song is clearly not about energy or natural gas, but it kind of sounded ironic in the current energy situation in Europe. So, I said, well, let's just share it. And I was going through the YouTube videos of this song, and I saw this, the live video from that massive concert. I think it was one of the biggest concerts ever, like a million people or something. And I thought, let's throw in a little bit of a provocation in the best possible meaning of the word provocation. You're provoking people to think that we're not that different. We're all people. We all enjoy music, I suppose, in different ways, different kinds of music, but still maybe we should kind of step back and stop antagonizing each other so much on social media, mostly because I think in real life people are a lot less confrontational than they are on social media.
Right. That one concert brought home that the world geopolitical problems that are going on are not the people's fault of a country.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's what struck me when you said you had this thing humming around in your mind as you were thinking of this. I was like, that's a great point, Irina, because it's not the people that are going through all these bad decision policies. I mean, now they elect, in some countries they elect them, unless the elections are either stolen or it's a or a dictatorship. But
well, you can always overthrow dictators, you know.
that
Countries
may have
have
to
done
happen.
that.
And civil unrest is going to be happening here pretty soon. I mean, is it Czechoslovakia? It's already starting.
Is it? I don't know.
I saw something in the news that they were starting to gear up, and this stuff where they're cutting the Danish farmers and everything. The farmers
Yeah.
are having to. Oh,
I could not imagine why the Dutch government and now the Danish government are picking on the farmers. Seriously, this is the worst possible time to be picking on the people who produce your food. And yet that's what they're doing because of emissions. It's amazing.
And they're such a big exporter of food. I think they're the number 2 exporter of food up in, I mean, I saw some stats and they do a lot of exporting. So
maybe this has to stop because it causes emissions. I really have no idea anymore how the thought process of these people in power in European capitals works. You know, they are betraying themselves constantly, but betraying their voters too. Like, did you hear what the German foreign minister said yesterday? It's been all over Twitter. I haven't verified it, but a lot of different people shared it. So I assume it's very likely that she actually said this. And she said that she has a commitment to support the Ukrainian people. She doesn't care what German voters think about it.
No way.
Yeah. I don't speak German myself. So there is margin for, for it being propaganda, but like I said, a lot of different people shared it and nobody has challenged the content of what she was saying. But if you really spit in the face of your voters, however noble your intention is, that's not going to be taken well. I mean, I wouldn't take it well as a voter. It's fine to care about suffering people, always, of course. War is a horrible thing, but saying that you don't care about the interests of the people who voted you into government is taking it a little bit too far. And there are protests in Germany. Sorry to interrupt you. I saw some images from people marching against the German government's energy agenda. It was a peaceful protest.
Right.
But
we're about to see a lot more of that, Irina. I think
it's quite likely. Yeah.
I think we are. And we have, there's a couple meetings coming up that are actually quite entertaining that we should see. The leadership in the EU is trying to put a lid or a cap on Russia oil. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's G7. That's not just the EU. That's G7 and the
G7. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, G7. Thank you very much. That's this Friday, if I remember right.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, is that tomorrow? I'm in a time.
Yes, it is tomorrow. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way about the time.
I work so much that it's just pathetic. The G7 trying to get a hammer like a whack-a-mole and just beat Putin. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. I always have to look at your stuff and fact check myself. Putin is selling his oil all over the world, right? He's making more money now than he has in years. The money and profits are going up. The damage that sanctions that you and I talk about all the time are killing the people. What is poking the bear gonna do when they try to put a cap on it but hurt the people?
Well, they have already hinted that they will not be exporting oil to countries that try to put a price cap on that oil.
Right.
It doesn't get much simpler than that. And I believe the main argument for G7 for this price cap idea is that Russia will not be able to survive without selling its oil. But the thing is, it has already survived very well in the past few months,
Right.
despite assurances to the contrary from the governments of these G7 countries.
Right.
So I would bet that, it will continue to survive and probably even make more money, because oil prices will, of course, increase when you refuse to insure Russian oil cargoes, and these cargoes will find other ways to move around. The reports, analysts suggesting what Russia could do to avoid this price cap.
Right.
Things like, Chinese state insurers insuring Russian oil cargoes for China and stuff
Right.
like that. India doing the same. There's always a way around it. I mean, the G7 is really a very important group because it's
Right.
a group of the 7 biggest economies in the world, but
Right.
it's not the whole world. This is something that they appear to miss again and again.
Right.
And China, India are not on board. So
No. And you sit back and kind of go, these knuckleheads as leaders think that they are smarter than everybody else. But you look back at China and you bring up a great point. China is now, Russia is selling LNG to China.
and to Japan too, by the way.
Do what?
To Japan as well, a G7 country. Yeah.
Yes. And now China is exporting to Europe LNG. Okay, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that the G7, that Russia is selling LNG to China. China is acting like a mobster broker dealer and selling that same stuff to Europe. They can't put, the G7 is not going to do something because you just nailed it. China is not on board.
Yeah,
India.
they've recognized that China and India are not on board, and they really needed to get them on board. But how are they going about it? They continue to antagonize China. India, not so much, but the US especially, and Canada, and now the UK, the future prime minister. Oh my God, this woman is going to be the prime minister of the UK. I'm so sorry for all my friends in Britain that they're going to have to go through this. But yes, they are all, acting as if China is the next big enemy.
Right.
But you need China to make that oil price cap work.
Right.
So how do you go about it? You antagonize the country that you need to make it work. Yeah.
It seems too logical when you say, what's up with logical?
Yeah. It's not trendy, I guess. Ideology is all the rage right now, not logic. It's sad. But
that's one thing I like about your style of writing, your opinions. You don't care, and you say the truth to what you feel, and I really enjoy that and respect it. And
I don't know what I should care about. I mean, I don't work for a big corporate media that can censor me or fire me.
Right. And that, but your attitude and humor are so fun. I just think that that's so cool. But what are they going to do tomorrow if China is making money on it? What about BRICS as that's coming around? You have the BRICS companies that are ganging together to try to have that geopolitical stuff again. They're trying to buy oil and set up their own cartel.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that going to be weird with, I thought it was funny that Saudi Arabia and OPEC were putting out that they're not happy with another cartel setting prices, and they say that they're going to withhold production because they feel there's too much price fixing going on. And
Do you mean the oil buyers cartel idea?
yeah,
That was again a Western idea by the UK and the US, I think. I think the US floated it and the UK jumped on board with it. But it's ridiculous. You can't have a buyer's cartel if you don't involve, again, at least China and India, but also a lot of other countries, because oil is the ultimate commodity for any economy.
and I have to applaud the leadership in India. They've got a
Yeah.
lot of people. They're trying to get whatever, they're trying to do anything they can to get power to the people, and
As they should be.
as they should. I applaud the Indians for doing whatever they can to try to take care of the people. Now, I mean, I'm all for that. It seems like there's not all of the folks that have that same intention, but well,
Clearly not. As we see in Europe, it's not about how to make your people feel more comfortable, but how to be more politically correct and geopolitically correct and transitionally correct.
right. Now, how bad, I mean, I'm hearing we're all hearing some really horrible numbers coming around the corner for winter, that if it's a mild winter, it's still going to be tough. But if it's a really cold one, a lot of people may die. How big of a thing or how bad? Because I don't always trust the
I
wind.
don't know, but it is quite ironic that Europe now must hope for a mild winter. And mild winters are considered to be a direct effect of climate change. And
Right.
mild winters, warm winters are not exactly good for crops.
Right.
Crops need and soil needs snow.
Right.
So it's kind of, they're hoping for something that they're trying to fight, climate change.
Right.
Because now it's a question of survival. I don't know. I can't speculate about people dying, but I have been reading that in the UK, a lot of people, elderly people, are worrying that they won't be able to pay their bills in the winter. And it's not just the UK; it's Germany as well, it's France as well. Probably these governments will be forced sooner or later to, cover household energy bills to avoid tragic consequences. But the question is, what do you do when the money runs out? Yeah, there's all this talk about governments printing money, central banks printing money.
Printing
It
money,
fuels
inflation.
inflation. Yeah, I mean, you can't do it for any sustained period of time. It's really a tough position,
Boy, we need
which
to
they
tell
put themselves in. And they put all of us in this position as well.
I think the world is in for a tough next few years.
Yeah.
This energy crisis didn't get here in a week. This energy crisis was coming along before Putin actually invaded.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, look at this report by the International Energy Agency. They just released it this week. Financial support for oil and gas almost doubled when? Last year. Not this year, not after February. This happened last year. So it seems that a lot of people in a position of power, of decision-making power, decisions that concern all of us, I will never tire of repeating this. They have seen the signs. They have probably taken part in this increased support for oil and gas, and still they are trying to convince us that the only way forward is building more wind and solar. And the most genius idea from the European Commission this week, decoupling the price of electricity in Europe from the price of natural gas and coupling it with the price of renewables too. How brilliant is that?
Can you say that again? My feeble brain did not
They are
understand.
thinking of decoupling the price of electricity, untying it from the price of natural gas and tying it to the price of renewable electricity.
That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's exotic. Let me put
Wow.
it this way. Yeah.
I get to interview a lot of authors, and that brings up a great point. I'm getting to
Oh,
interview Meredith Angwin,
great.
and she is phenomenal.
I
She
know.
is
I'm
and-
finishing Shorting the Grid right now.
oh, you're reading it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. How fun is
Yeah.
that? I'll have to tell her. But
She
this is
knows.
a
She sent it to
phenomenal.
me. Yeah.
Do what?
She sent it to me. She knows I'm reading it.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
This is a small world, Irina. I cannot talk to anybody that doesn't know you. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my
come on.
goodness.
No, our world is small, Stu.
Oh, this is phenomenal
Yeah,
because
this.
her numbers are amazing that as soon as you put a solar farm or a wind farm, instead of there's different there's physics. People forget electricity has physics.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's a horror story. I told her it's really interesting. It's hugely informative, but it reads like a horror story because I never imagined that the grid is this vulnerable. It's this sensitive to any sort of disruption, and it is.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
I did not understand. I knew there was a problem, but when you have wind and solar, she said that when I was talking to her the other day, that you have if you have coal, nuclear, oil, and natural gas, which are the biggies, and you have all those, you take your peak load, you add 20%, and you're good. For downtime and emergencies.
Yeah.
But she said, as soon as you add in, due to the physics, a wind farm or a solar farm, you have to add 200% to make sure that you can, because these things are so intermittent that you have to pop up power in other places.
Exactly.
And so a wind farm at X number of kilowatts does not equal the same kilowatt output of a nuclear reactor, because nuclear reactor is just as steady as it can be.
Exactly.
Or a natural
Yeah.
gas, because natural gas is just as steady as it is.
Or any fossil fuel. Yeah.
If any fossil fuel, coal, anything. And so if people are comparing one wind tower to the output over here, and they say this is cheaper, nobody is talking about that extra 190%.
I know. Yeah. Nobody talks
You
about
have
the
to
additional
add.
costs. That.
We're missing 195% of the cost of renewables in order to get to a good grid. And I'm over here going with a crayon. I mean, I'm too stupid to do math. I'm doing some math on this, and the cost is amazing.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a horror story. She brings a lot of things to light. Yeah, not that anyone convinced that renewables should be encouraged in every way possible would be discouraged from these opinions. But we could hope.
But it's physics. I mean, you can't argue.
Physics doesn't care. Physics doesn't care about your politics or your ideologies. No. But we have to learn this the hard way, I'm afraid.
Well, Irina, thank you so much for letting us chat. I just really treasure these chats every month, and thank you so much. Everybody needs to follow Irina on her Substack at oilprice.com and her energy transition with Armando and David Blackman. Fantastic. You have so much good work going out there, so keep up the good work.
We try. Thanks, Stu. Thanks for having me.
All right.